some things too about foreshadowing. Foreshadowing means we can see a pattern of how things could happen. And the Antichrist. Now, the Antichrist is actually a family. There's the Antichrist who's the beast, but the Bible also talks in Revelation 13, where the beast is mentioned, about the false prophet, and the image of the beast. And then, of course, there's the mark of the beast. We'll talk about all of these briefly. So before the election, one thing that I've been sharing is that if Trump won the election, then all three superpowers in the world would be run by dictators. A possible scenario here is each of one wants to conquer its own region. They all conquer their own region, and then they hand over this power to some other power who would become the Antichrist. Now, that doesn't mean it'll happen, but that was at least a scenario that was running through my mind. So it is possible for that to happen even today. Now, Africa is a wild card. Russia wants to take over NATO and Europe. China wants to take over Taiwan and Asia. U.S. apparently wants to take over North America, Greenland, Canada, Mexico, Panama. And so these things are already on people's minds. So that part of it definitely happened. But whether they'll succeed or not is another story. I think they probably won't. Hope they don't. Africa is a wild card because with Ibrahim Traore, Chad, Mali, Namibia, Uganda, Ghana, these are countries that are starting to shake off colonial rule and becoming their own power as an African continent. So that's a wild card. Plus, Africa is the new world center of Christianity. God is going to let the gospel spread before he returns. So the Antichrist is probably not the Pope. He'll exalt himself over everything that is worship, set himself in the temple, and proclaim himself to be God. Well, this leads us to Donald Trump. Is he the Antichrist? He may not be. He doesn't seem, at least to me, to have the chops for it, but who knows? But he does foreshadow the Antichrist, and he behaves the way that the Antichrist will behave in certain ways when he appears. Like, for instance, he said, I'm the chosen one. He called himself the chosen one of Israel. He held a Bible upside down in front of a church in his last term. And in this term, he didn't even put his hand on the Bible like he did last time. It's like he's dropping those types of pretenses. Many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, shall deceive many. He's worshipped as a cult figure by many of his supporters. I'll show you a second here, the golden idol they rolled out during one of the Republican conventions. It was a conservative political action conference. And then also there was a semblance of a miracle. In Revelation 13:3, it said that one of the heads was wounded, like had a fatal wound, and his deadly wound was healed. And then they worshiped the dragon, which gave power to the beast, worship the beast in particular. Who's like the beast? Who can make war with him? Well, Trump's cult members were astonished when he survived what appeared to be an assassination attempt and also a pummeling defeat, saying that he is God's man. So it parallels the mindset that people will have in the end times when the actual beast does arrive. So here's the golden idol that they had in this Republican convention. Look how big it is. I mean, it's bigger than this guy, and he's big. Here's what Trump did himself. This is the White House posting. Long live the king, and recently posted himself as trying to be the next pope. He claims this is a joke, but when it's evil stuff, he's not really joking. There's always something to it. Now, this king and a priest thing is interesting because it's happened 4 times in the Bible. First with Melchizedek, who was a type of Christ, who was good. Then King Saul, who was the people's choice. He tried to be a priest by offering a sacrifice when Samuel didn't show up, and he was cursed, trying to take on the role of a king and a priest. Jesus, the Messiah, he is the king and the priest. And then the Antichrist is going to be basically a false king and priest, who's also going to be the people's choice. And look at this. I mean, at least the mindset is there. If the reality isn't there, then the mindset is certainly there. And it shows us that there are people out there who will think like this, leaders who can think like this. So that means we need to be prepared. The false prophet. In Revelation 13, it says he looks like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. He looks like a lamb, like a Christian, like a believer, but speaks the words of the devil.